Hi, everyone. I'm Todd Kenreck, and I'm joined today by Celeste Conowitch as well as TK Johnson, and we are talking about horror in D&D. And this is a favorite topic of mine, but it is something I actually struggle with myself because sometimes I'm very creepy, and some of my players cannot handle that all the time. So let's go ahead, introduce yourselves, and what are you working on right now?
Hi everybody. My name is Celeste Conowitch. You might have heard my name recently since I'm one of the co-authors for Icewind Dale Rime of the Frost Maiden, which is very spoopy, so I'm excited to talk about that. I'm also one of your DM's Guild adepts and just a freelance D&D designer out there, host of podcast Venture Maidens. I'm really excited to talk about spoopy things today. Yes, that's me. Hello.
Okay, TK.
Hello, it's me.
Classic introduction.
I like doing that on stream so that people are like, I don't know who this is.
Whoa.
Okay. Yeah, it's me. I write a lot of spooky things. I edit a lot of spooky things. I DM a lot of spooky things, and that's pretty much it. That's really all you need to know about me. That's all there is, buddy.
Is when it comes to D&D, is like I kind of feel like well, a session 0 is always important, but it feels like it's really important when it's horror, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's when I think a lot of the triggers are going to start coming into play.
Mhm.
I played a Vampire Masquerade game where someone was afraid of blood, so that was a trigger. I'm like, okay, that's going to be interesting for you.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah. So have you noticed when running horror games, like how have you managed triggers and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, TK is like the master of gothic horror, so I think you probably have an awesome answer for this.
Not only do I ask people for their triggers, their hard lines and their veils and things like that, I also ask them for the horror that they like to see. Because enthusiastic consent is like a big thing for me. So if I know what people are going to say yes to, then it's easier to filter out the things they're going to say no to.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I mean, I think, things like horror, there's definitely people who really enjoy it and there's people who don't. We all have those friends who just refuse to watch horror movies and want nothing to do with it. So identifying the types of people you have at your table early on is vital to making sure people have fun, because it can very rapidly become not fun if everybody isn't aware that they're about to step into something really, really creepy, really spooky. And then also the different types of horror that come up too. Like some are really fun for people. Some people love the jump scares, love the monsters, but maybe like psychological horror doesn't do it for them. There's just so many different types that getting those lists, like you were saying, TK, of things they like and things that they don't like is super important to help mitigate everybody having fun.
It's interesting. I love horror of various kinds. One of my favorite films is The Thing, the 1982 version. I'm a giant fan. I liked Alien, but Megan will attest to this. I will throw rocks at our TV if Pet Cemetery is on. I do not like child death. I don't like it.
Sure.
It makes me very upset. I feel it's manipulative. There was a scene in Game of Thrones where they showed children that were dead, and it was very brief, and that was okay. Somehow it was like in an undead setting in the middle of a war, but like when that's the feature,
yeah, for sure.
not okay. Like that stuff is like a big no for me. Other than that, oh my god, I love body horror in D&D.
Yes.
Oh, I mean, when you have like monsters, that have these horrific abilities and just these potential incredible fights, body horror becomes so interesting in D&D because all your characters are so powerful, and so are the monsters. So dealing with like actual physical consequences to things when it actually happens to your characters is a huge deal because you're so overpowered and everything in the world is so powerful.
Yeah, that's a good point. And like there are even everyday monsters in D&D that can become pure horror.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Like,
oh yeah.
I'll never forget reading Dragonlance, and I'm like, okay, everything's fine, blah blah, and they're like, oh, it's a black dragon. I'm like, ooh,
Oh, okay, great.
Or they actually ran into a giant slug, and the thing vomited a spray of acid and melted
Whew.
one of the
Oh,
main character's chest completely away. And I'm like,
gross.
no, what? Like a giant slug? Like why?
No, thank you.
Yeah. And then it makes you look at like black dragons in a totally different way. I'm like, okay, this is like the alien. This is but like 1,000 times worse.
Oh my gosh, for sure.
With wings.
Yeah.
There are consequences.
Oh gosh, I think I remember listening to that. It happened at River in like the first book, right? Like the description of him melting in the acid breath, and I was like, that was one of the most visceral things in that book or entire like any fantasy series moments.
What a
I'm just like,
delight.
whoa.
Yeah, they just melt
Whoa.
Riverwind, and then was it Moon
Yes.
Gold?
Gold Moon, yeah, Gold Moon.
Sorry, yeah. Had to bring him back to life. I'm like, I don't know, he may not want to.
Yeah, after
gosh.
that.
This is the best conversation I've heard in a long time.
Oh,
Let me just
you know, we should probably tell the chat.
Let
Hi,
us-
everybody. This is a horror talk, so we're going to be talking about disgusting things. So if that
Yeah.
if that bothers you, protect yourself. Take
Just
time
gonna-
to maybe step away. Maybe this doesn't
Protect
speak to
yourself.
you.
pick up a pen real quick and take a couple notes here.
Yeah,
real
just
quick. I hope
oh
you
no,
don't mind.
TK, no.
Giant
Um,
slug.
Oh my gosh.
Giant slug.
Yeah, giant slug. Oh man, could you? I was talking to some friends about this. Could you imagine how horrifying it would be if?
This game.
Okay, the red, the pincer ants from like South America and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like the
yeah,
fire
yeah,
ants from down
yeah.
there. Okay,
Mhm.
but imagine the medium sized. And 30 of them can stand on top of each other to make a tower, or they can form like a big old raft.
Yeah.
I just want you to imagine seeing that in the sewers. Like,
No.
and then they come up out of the sewers and they come into the middle of like, I don't know, Neverwinter.
Mm.
Or
This sounds
even
like
a smaller town.
Yeah, this sounds like an adventure you need to write. Yeah, the invasion of the ants or
Giant
whatever.
ants. I love 50s creature features. So giant fire ants.
I mean, I feel like D&D was made for creature feature sort of stories. I mean, those are something I always love doing to like throw in as like one shots, or say we have like a player
Yep.
gone is doing some kind of like monster of the week style, like, you know, pick the most awesome big bad you find in the monster manual that already has an amazing creepy hook in there, and then just like that one episode is all about finding and defeating this creature. Those are some of my favorite games that just are so scary, especially like ones like with undead going into haunted places, or, you know, things living under floorboards. Just so much good potential there.
Ugh, what a delight too. I do love it.
Yes.
And like Todd, you mentioned that you don't like Pet Cemetery because of, children dying. I don't like killing children in games or anything like that, but I do love giving monsters baby-like features.
Oh yeah,
Just
that's
creepy.
There are a few
ghost
things I love
children.
more than like putting baby hands on things where they don't
Oh,
belong.
no.
I'm like, okay, imagine this horse, but the horse has baby hands or something. Just like, think about that. Isn't that horrible?
No.
It's like, don't you just love the sound of like disembodied children singing? I'm
That's
having
upsetting.
a
This
great
is really
time.
upsetting.
I ran Megan through
I
it's the worst.
absolutely stabbed the bag chat, by the way.
Yeah. I ran her through, like, she's in this, on the coast, and she's wandering into town. And she can see the lights of the town distance, and then she sees a crawling hand, a crawling claw, and then she sees another one, and then another one, and then all of a sudden the entire, like, all of the darkness between, behind her is just the sound of scraping claws. And what had happened is the town had destroyed a prison that had metal grates for windows, and so the prison burnt to the ground, but all the hands were left over. And so they were hunting the town itself the entire time, on the outskirts, and like the priest tried to keep them at bay, but they wanted their revenge. So there was a sea of hands.
Wow.
Of
Oh,
Yeah.
But
I love
but
it.
Todd, what if they were baby hands? That's how you ramp up the horror. See?
I don't want
Yeah.
to do the plot
Baby
behind
hands.
that.
Yeah, that'd be weird.
Yeah.
It's weird, but also, yeah,
It-
baby hands.
Oh my god.
I love
wanna-
little things like that.
I, want
I
a
mean, what
lich
about a
named
centipede with
Hands.
baby hands for feet?
No!
Right? Oh my gosh, Kobold Press was talking about like one of their monsters they're including, and it's like a torso centipede where it's just like a human torso connected to another human torso connected to another one, and it's like I'm gonna get you, and I'm like, yes,
No! But yes! Oh, it's
fall into my
complicated.
nightmares. Oh, I'm so excited. Yes, yes,
I think sentient gibbering mouther is always fun.
yes.
Even like if you think an NPC that you've established isn't this is what I always love to do, and I brought it up before, like an NPC like takes him into the sewers and he's got like one milky eye and gold teeth, and then he gets eaten by a gibbering mouther, and then you see the gold teeth absorb into the gibbering mouther and the milky eye. Or you introduce an NPC and you wake up and you hear them next to you in your room talking to you, and then you turn on the light and it's just a gibbering mouther that has absorbed that favorite NPC of yours.
I
That
put
is
gibbering mouther on my list.
having
Yeah.
one less conversation.
Yes. Gibbering mouther.
Ooh.
Ugh.
John Freeman in the chat brought up Stephen King is really a master of horror. I love The Dark Tower most. The Dark Tower is fantastic.
I have
as
not read
just-
The
yeah,
Dark
so
Tower, I
good.
will confess.
Whoa!
I
A source
know.
of nightmare fuel for days.
Yeah.
A delight.
That series is just full of these bizarre nightmare scenes that really let the reader like kind of fill in the level of horror.
Oh, the stand
think-
is good too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you,
I
chat.
think. Oh my gosh, I think somebody brought that up earlier as a question. Like, how do you make D&D scary when everybody is so powerful?
Yeah.
I think it's doing things like you see in the Dark Tower, where you give just enough details that you let the players fill in how scary
Yeah.
it is. You don't tell them everything. You kind of like show things and put them in scenarios, and then people are really good at spooking themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and horror doesn't have to hinge on powerlessness. It doesn't have to. You could be the most powerful person in the world and still be afraid of things. You just have to find that lack of control that they're the most afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
Or not
Tap into
know
that.
and incapable of knowing what the threat
Yeah.
is, right? Like that's why the thing
For
works
sure.
so well, is
For
because
sure.
you don't know who amongst these people is this thing or not this thing, and that lack of trust is
Mhm.
very fun to play with. Especially, I always like to toy with it, and my players hate me for it, but like it's like once a year someone isn't what they are, right?
Yeah.
And it drives everyone crazy because the
for sure.
paranoia.
Yes.
You know what I do? I make my NPCs obviously untrustworthy, and then I make them incredibly attractive.
Ha!
This'll teach you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh,
Yeah.
and what I love about your games, TK, is that everyone is like that. So they're always like, I don't trust anyone, and then it's like, but you have to at some
But
point,
you're so
right? You
handsome.
have, like,
But you're so
But you're so
handsome.
handsome.
I just want to believe you so bad. You're so
You-
attractive.
TK wouldn't
You're
have
so
cast you as an
beautiful.
NPC if you weren't trustworthy.
I wouldn't. I would never.
That's true.
Trust me.
Oh, someone brought up The Thing in the chat as one of the favorites. We were just talking about how much we love The Thing right
Yeah.
before we went live here.
It's
And I'm sure, as you all know, it's been mentioned a bunch of times for Rime of the Frost Maiden as a big inspiration,
Yes.
which is very, very cool. Super duper fun. You all should watch The Thing if you haven't seen it.
That's what I love about snow settings is that horrible isolation and anything can be preserved out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like The Thing doesn't necessarily have to be fantasy. It might be out
exist.
there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And if you get high enough in the spine of the world,
Oh, there we go.
yeah. No, I was
Oh, I
gonna
was
leave
like,
it
where's
for a
this
second,
going?
and then I was
Leave
like,
it? Oh, yeah.
I was
and then I was
it's
like,
just like,
family show.
if you get high enough.
You get high enough in the spine of the world, the days are only so long, and when the sun is up, it's painful because
Yeah.
everything is stark white.
Yeah.
So like the visibility is down, your endurance is down, you get tired so easily, you're isolated.
Mhm.
Everything wants to kill you, including the earth.
Yeah. I
Well,
What a
mean,
delight.
And
yeah.
then the people you know may be the biggest danger.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's zombie movies right there, right? Like it's not the zombies. It's never the zombies.
It's always the people you're with. Yeah.
The people you're hanging with. Yeah, 30 Days a Night was actually, I
Ooh,
thought,
yeah, 30
sufficiently
Days a
scary.
Night,
That
yeah.
made me like vampires again. Because I'm like, they made them ugly,
sure.
they made them mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good
boy.
stuff. Good
Oh,
stuff.
that guy and his teeth. And I don't know where the accent was from.
Did you ever watch or read the graphic novel?
I did.
I was
I didn't.
it's
Ooh.
so good. You should pick that up.
Okay. I'm
It's
writing it down.
It's excellent. I mean, it's bleak as heck, but
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. But that's why we're all here.
Yeah.
That's another good point to bring up though in D&D, putting your players in scenarios that are strange, or if the environment is trying to kill them, then maybe they can't worry so much about the monsters that are trying to kill them, so their attention gets split. And then that way it also, if they're using all their resources to stay alive because it's so snowing, or they're underwater, or it's so hot, that divides their attention from being able to defend themselves against these horrors that might creep in or creep up, either mentally or physically. So that seems like a great strategy to do as well.
yeah, I was always a big fan of weather.
Oh, yeah.
Especially, and I know a lot of people don't usually tie weather to Ravenloft nowadays, but in 2E, weather was like a big deal for Ravenloft. You couldn't see through mist hardly. You couldn't hardly go through the mist. If it was raining, your torches were going to gutter out. You couldn't hardly get sleep. You couldn't hardly eat. There's always something hunting you. Like that's something that I really am looking forward to for Rime of the Frost Maiden.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited to make my friends miserable.
Yay! This book can definitely do that.
Yes.
I always adored that misty border. I am working on a thing I thought was a cool idea, and I won't say it here. But yeah, hopefully once I get off my butt for DM's Guild, maybe I'll enlist both of you for it.
Oh my gosh.
Heck yeah.
An interesting Ravenloft adjacent.
Yes.
Creepy concept.
Yes.
I will definitely tell you at the end of this when we're off camera. But yeah, Ravenloft was great that way. Like that's why. Why Ravenloft was so good. I remember that first encounter. The zombies' arms still moved, and that felt like a key component to like good horror. Is like, yeah, you think you know this monster. You've been playing D&D a while. I know how this works. Well, that's why I add a second row of jaws to my goblins. Right, like a goblin shark.
Yeah, you pick one thing that people are familiar with, and twist something.
Yeah,
you just twist something, like horses and their baby hands.
I just keep coming back to the baby hands.
That's my last time. I promise I won't do any more baby hands.
It's a good test, right? You're like, I need this horse, but it does have baby hands.
Yeah, or it's a horse, but it's got like a dog's mouth or like a wolf's mouth or something. Like, have you ever thought about that? These are birds, but they have teeth, and it's like.
I gotta call out Megan on this. She found the ugliest, worst monster ever. I think it was out of Dragon Magazine or something like that. I don't know how she found it. It's Spider Horse. It's Spider
Horse. I love it.
The horse with the head of a spider.
No,
magicians made it, and they're incapable of breeding, and they lay eggs, and they are the most disgusting thing ever drawn. And she's obsessed with Spider Horse.
Spider Horse.
She's found all the art and all of the original magazine articles about Spider Horse. So yeah, just DM Megan.
Spiderhead.
Oh my gosh, it's so interesting to see how D&D monsters have like evolved over the different editions.
Oh, for sure.
Because like the beholder we have now is super terrifying, looking at it. But like going back to like AD&D, it's like a circle with like this little dot eye, like, and it's so hilarious.
I mean, they're still pretty hilarious, but
Oh,
But yeah, it
nice.
was just a goofy looking monster.
I'm so excited. I have to open this up so I can write more.
Yeah.
Spider horse.
Spider horse.
I'm excited.
Vargoyles. Vargoyles are
Ooh,
old
yeah,
myth.
yeah.
The heads
Now,
tear.
Nasty
can we
heads.
please let's take a second to decide how to pronounce it.
Oh yeah, no,
How is it
'cause
pronounced?
I don't know. This is like
okay.
my
I've heard-
childhood pronunciation
heard-
of it.
Yeah, Vargui, and then
I've also heard
Vargoyles.
Vargwheel.
Vargoyle.
Like
Oh.
when I was growing up, it was Vargwheel. And so like this is like an awesome thing where we're sitting here going like,
Is it
What is it?
Romanian in origin, or is it
I literally could
or is it
not tell
more
you.
India? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Cat,
Scary.
please, could you look
Chat.
up Vargwheel on D&D
Help.
Beyond and see how they pronounce it?
Somebody ask Matt
Oh,
Mercer
yeah,
how
someone
to
must
pronounce
have,
it.
Man, someone must have
Todd.
had to.
Come on.
So host is failing.
Oh, spider horse with human teeth. I love giving human
Ooh.
teeth to animals.
Why?
Giving human teeth to anything is just.
I do. Humans with fangs. That's so passe. Everybody's
Yeah.
like, "Oh my gosh, that human has fangs. Let's
Wow.
smooch." But
Oh, I
giving
love
a
it. I love
human
it.
mouth to like a cat, and it's like a small cat, especially. It's
Mm.
like, yes.
I think I
Oh,
like the idea of like you go into this immaculate hallway and it's all marble and intricate patterns and everything, and you're sipping on it, and the floor is very kind of roundish because it's uneven marble, and then you realize the entire hallway is made purely of human teeth.
I used to write a horror podcast where you walk
Did we lose you,
where
Celeste?
I'm good. It's fine.
I used to write a horror podcast, and one of the characters went into like finally made it into a house, and they went in, they saw like everything was like these beautiful murals and stuff, like the textured murals. And when
Mhm.
they would walk up, it was all baby teeth. Like
No.
they like
Oh wow.
They
hold their
painted
hands
over
across
them?
it. It's like, yeah, it was just
Mm-mm.
textured like baby teeth. And
Mm-mm.
it's just like
There is this this horror podcast called The White Vault, which
White
is also,
Vault.
it sort of has a similar setting to the thing where it's, you know, a
Ah.
team way out in the Arctic trying to survive, and they'd find this underground
It's
place.
Varguil.
And
Wheel.
That's according to Matthew Mercer.
Ooh, he would say it like that.
It's electric
Beautiful.
Vargaloo. of space.
Yeah, but in that podcast there's a scene where basically they discover, you know, this huge like temple building or whatever, and they're like, each of the pieces of the floor is this tiny little box, and so they look and open up the box, and
Oh,
each
box.
one has like a human molar in it, and this
Yes.
whole temple is like
Oh my gosh.
thousands
Speaking of
these
human
things.
molars, please don't think I'm weird.
Oh no, I know
Oh,
what
that's
you're gonna
don't worry. We're
oh,
that
Yes,
ship
this is
sailed a
cool.
while ago.
Look at these were my birthday gift to myself is their D20s with the dice maker's wisdom teeth in them.
Oh my god.
Do you love
do the
them?
makeup, TK.
I'm sorry. I don't think my
Oh,
camera will focus, but that's
see
okay.
the
You can
white
still
blob
see
in
them. Yeah,
there.
you can see the little white blob.
Oh,
You love them?
Wow, what
Okay,
a
I got
what
a
a
horrible
move.
one-shot idea. A 1-versus-1 game where everyone's playing a Varguil and you're just trying to get bodies.
Trying to get the best bod.
Oh my
Yeah, you're
gosh.
just
Yes.
It's like a muscle boy contest, best bod.
Yes, for sure.
with tiny little head, like a
Yeah.
little tiny head on it.
I think adding or taking teeth away can make anything creepy.
Yeah,
It may, yeah, you're right.
yeah,
It's-
yeah. Honestly, gosh, this just has me thinking about the Full Metal Alchemist series and like all the things with teeth in that. Like,
What a delight.
ooh, all the art in there. Yeah, anime, great source for finding
Oh,
horrifically
for
Yeah.
sure. You ever see the
Yeah.
anime Parasite? Oh, what
No,
a good
I need
anime.
to-
Oh, you should. Netflix just got it. It's really
Ooh,
good.
yes.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. And you can watch it subbed or dubbed. I prefer dubbed with subtitles because it's hard for me to focus on things, so I always have to have subtitles. And like let's be honest, I'm not going to get anything out of the Japanese audio, so I might as well do English because I just listen to it in the background anyway.
It's interesting because I always wanted to introduce something, and it could like break the game, but like introducing like Death Note, right?
Ooh,
A
Uh-huh.
book where you just write who you want to die what does that do to a player? Like, I mean, what point do you push them so far that they're willing to kill that villain by just writing their name?
I would
Hmm.
probably start introducing a corruption mechanic.
Cool.
Because you know that you're gonna get it's gonna go well 4 out of 5 times, and then the 5th time they're gonna be like, let me write my party member's name in
Yeah,
it.
and then
And also that
Oh.
troll and that guy who was rude to me at the bakery.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny. So I mean, obviously this book was super problematic, but in 3.5 they had, the Book of Vile Darkness, which actually
yeah.
does have corruption mechanics. Ignore the sticky notes. I'm working on something. But yeah, they have a corruption mechanic in there that was so interesting and would be really cool to see brought into 5th edition D&D. So it's like all these certain spells that are very powerful, sort of level appropriate, but you do take on that corruption, which can change your physical appearance. Eventually it can change, your mentality, your state, just in the world. So it's always a choice. It's always that bargain that you're working towards as you go further and further, which I think is that's the kind of horror I love. I love psychological horror, dealing with like having to make these hard choices and what exactly will push you to make things even scarier for yourself and
For
your
sure.
character.
And I prefer a corruption mechanic to a madness mechanic. I don't like madness tables, and I know that like a lot of people do, but that's just something for me that I'm just like, no,
Yeah.
don't need you.
I
But I'll do
remember
I'll do a
Ravenloft had
corruption one.
the corruption from the dark powers. Like you would end up with like spiders for hands.
Oh,
Weird
yes.
shit.
Spider hands, baby
Spider
hands.
hands.
Let me just spider hands.
Just how do you even find gloves for that?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, custom made.
And like some of the dark power stuff, like whenever I was doing dark powers checks for mists, I would start out people with like small things that were good.
Mhm.
It's like, no, it's fine. Please do something for the dark powers. Fail another check. And then like it's like slowly builds up to being not good.
Yeah. I loved I think I
It's
I
like,
don't know.
oh, your face
yeah.
is replaced with a porcelain mask.
Oh
ooh.
gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember if this was actually in Curse of Strahd or if somebody added. I found it online, but the dark powers mechanic where like you have a pool of d6s that constantly like live on the table, right? And at any time somebody can just reach in and take the d6 and add that to their roll. But I also get to take a d6 that I can use for one of my monsters or one of my villains. I had like a little, when I was running it, I had a little 3D printed like skull cup. And we always had it there. It was always an option just for people to take.
I like the temptation being on the table.
Yeah. So they
That's
look at it,
interesting.
and when they roll it, it's like, oh no, I got like a 12. I could probably, if I did use the D, like, and it's a constant, like, how important is it? And, the first time you do it, you're just so much more inclined to do it from then on.
Oh, for sure.
Oh,
I
yes.
love giving deals. I love giving deals almost anything else when
Yeah.
almost more than anything else when I'm a DM, because I'm just like, yo, if you look, I know your friends are in the room and I know that you're in a cave, but if you cast Shatter right now, I will give you a level in Warlock to whatever patron you want.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
I wouldn't be able to resist that. Yeah, no way.
Girl, I know. I'll be like, I will give you I will give you 2 levels in Warlock to whatever patron you want, and maybe they can be a love interest.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Uh-oh. I'm lost. I'm sold. Yeah.
I love the RP value of like, having to talk to, say, a hag or something, or something that makes those deals, and being like everyone has something on the line. I love that stuff so much. Like giving them something temptation within the game that really makes them struggle, and that means you really have to know your players.
Oh yeah.
Because some will just be like, "No,
Sure.
I know this is crap," but you hope you've constructed something that is like so tempting they'll make a deal. Because I don't think you get away with messing with the Feywild or a devil from Avernus. Okay.
They're untrustworthy, but they're also very attractive.
There you
You're
go.
really pushing this attractiveness.
They're
I mean,
But
it
you love
works.
body
very
horror.
attractive.
Okay.
It's worth
Wow.
it. do it. What is y'all's favorite way to what's your favorite mechanic for like foreshadowing a monster? Like in a spooky game specifically.
Ooh, could you give like an example?
Just like do they find bones outside of somewhere? I like slime a
Mm.
lot. Like that's like a favorite thing for
Slime.
movies and stuff where
drool and
I'm like
everything.
drool, saliva, something like that. Like do you find corpses? Do they footprints?
I really love the absence of things. I think is something
Yes.
I'll find really telling. So
No
woods that are just
birds, no
too
animals.
silent, or a room that is just too pristine.
Oh
Those
god.
sort of things that it's like, wait, what do you mean? Like it's so clean. Like,
Uh-huh.
and that's just always, because who knows what that means? Like, if you see slime, you're probably like, okay, but maybe it's a slug or something. But if it's just
Mhm.
too set up, that can be so terrifying.
Yeah, I've had it where players have gone to a farm and there's like no animals.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it's like
Plenty of cages and stuff.
yeah, there's like a
uh,
ton of barns and stuff that are just like empty and like all of the farm tools are like rusted. It's like I know there's something here though. If I
Ooh.
open the cow stalls, what will I find?
Someone mentioned the environment starts to change, like alien fungus.
Ooh,
yes.
fungus.
Ooh,
alien
Alan,
fungus.
Ooh,
yes.
like did y'all watch it's not Color from Outer Space? Is that what
Yes.
it
I
is?
didn't
The one
watch
that's
it
based
because
on
it
the
seemed like a lot
Lovecraftian?
of like just physical horror, like like chopping people up kind of stuff, and I'm
Yeah.
not into that.
I
So.
mean, I
It's
read it.
actually not. There's actually a good deal of body
Yeah.
horror.
Okay.
I don't think that anyone dies from being like assaulted by another character. It's mostly
Okay.
like alien body horror stuff. I will tell you that a child does
Mhm.
perish as part of like some body horror stuff. The child gets fused together with the mom.
Oh
Spoilers for
no.
chat. So
Yeah, man.
that's probably not something you want to watch,
Yeah.
but you can listen to the audiobook.
Yeah.
And it's a short story. It is not the same as the movie. The
No.
movie is an elaboration
Oh, yeah.
on the short story. The short story is more like typical of the 1920s cosmic horror, where
Yeah.
it's just like, oh, everything was covered in like a fine dust of a color that we've never seen before.
Right.
Everything's
Mhm.
growing really big. None of the vegetation tastes good.
Yeah.
And like the trees are all getting super big and stuff, and the people are starting to like lose it. And
Right.
that's what I think of when I think of like alien fungus or like eggs. I'm like, oh yeah, eggs.
Gross.
That's one of my favorite things about Alien is like something's wrong because they come into the room and they touch things and it's sticky. Like,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
thank you.
That's the
I didn't,
slime.
and I weirdly liked, and I know everyone doesn't like it, Prometheus for that weirdness of like an android that poisons someone with an infection. That kind of layered of like, okay, yes,
Yeah.
you run into something purely horrifying, but then this other person is pushing that horror an extra step.
Yeah, like I didn't love everything about Prometheus, but David's character was really interesting. I know if a dude
In
put his
Prometheus.
finger,
Yeah.
in Prometheus. I know if a dude put his finger in my drink before he handed it to me, I'd be like, "Oh, what are you doing, buddy?"
I'm like, how
No.
did you not like pick up on that?
Like I don't know if it's just like I'm trained to not accept
right.
drinks that people have put their fingers in.
No, I don't think anyone should.
But it's like, that's nasty. You
Yeah.
are nasty. Like, I understand that you don't have like bacteria or oil or anything, but you touch stuff. Like, don't put your finger in my drink. You're nasty.
That was a character that was done a horrible disservice in Alien Covenant by making it something totally garbage.
It's okay.
I was not happy with that. But
I remember there were several things in Prometheus where people would say something or do something. I'd be like, I don't care.
What?
yeah.
No.
I don't care about this. Like, oh, that person's a zombie, I guess now. I don't care. I want to see aliens. I came here for aliens, and I did. Don't smog me.
So I bought the
don't
ticket.
hobbit me.
Yeah.
And put the alien in the third movie.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to see like all the weird goblin-y variations of everything.
Yeah, I want to see
I want
it.
to see the evolution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see do get poisoned. I mean, I appreciate where they were going with it, with the narrative. I appreciated them trying new things, but I didn't come here for new things. I came here for the alien, and you know it.
Oh man, that makes me think of, before you were mentioning making monsters creepy. I think foreshadowing would be funny to like find just nothing but leg bones, like a hill giant that doesn't like the crust on a sandwich. It just
Oh my gosh, yes.
Right? Or it only eats feet.
Yeah,
It's feet only.
It just loves feet.
I like it when like things are decorated like strangely. It like you go into a monster's lair and there's like a hint of sentience or like intelligence in that they have decorated their lair somehow.
Yeah.
Just like the idea that they are like proud of what they have done and have it on display in the same way that like a human hunter's trophy room would be.
Yeah. I mean, that's something you see a lot, you know, those scenes of like if you have like a Medusa or a basilisk, those like layers that are, you know, decorated with all
the
these
stone people and stuff.
That's so iconic because it's so frightening.
Yeah. And it's so interesting because it's like, oh, that Medusa, like, you got arms, you can move those statues.
Oh yeah, she put those exactly where she wanted.
Yeah, they're exactly where. And I remember playing a game with Laugh Love Lindy where we had to go to a Medusa's lair, and she had a whole gallery of different stone works and stuff like that. So she had like the lovers and the traitors and things like that, where it's like different emotions that the statues had been in when they were petrified. So it was like an art show.
Yeah,
horrible art show.
My favorite monsters I've ever like loved or just designed or whatever, they're always the collector monsters, the ones who, you know, they need these pieces for whatever it is. That's also, I think, why serial killers sometimes are so interesting, because it's all about that collecting instinct, you know, about the trophies.
Yeah.
So I
like
think
playing Undertale and seeing the box of shoes.
Yeah,
like and just being like, where did these shoes come from?
That's the thing. Because that is such a, it feels so human to collect things that like when you see the monsters doing it.
Yeah, it belies a certain intelligence too that you can kind of like look forward to if you do battle with them.
Yeah.
Imagine a doppelganger would do that for a sense of identity.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. Yeah, no, you're right.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm just like, yeah, it's like, could you imagine you go into a doppelganger's room and they just have human skins hanging up like a dress shop or like on mannequins and things like that? They're like, this is my going out skin. This is my banquet skin.
Yeah. Or they've, you know, painted the faces of everyone they've ever been, you know, and that's their thing.
Maybe they have a portrait. You know? Maybe whenever they change into somebody, they go and have a portrait made. And so you just walk into one of the rooms in their house and it's just hundreds of portraits.
People,
yeah, just people, just cameos and stuff. Oh
my gosh. I did introduce, I will introduce weird horror, and I've done it recently in Beyond Heroes. I knew the good nature of our characters, and they woke up and they were like in the middle of a wild mount. They didn't know what was going on, and like the entire ground was frozen and covered in like ice blocks, and someone was on fire, and they don't remember anything that happened. Only that they were clearly right in the middle of a fight. There was weird blood ooze on their sword, and Penelope Halfpint, playing by Hope Lavelle, picked up a little worm that was in the middle of the road on the ice and put it in her pocket. I was so happy because I got to pay that off like 8 episodes later, where that little worm was actually the last remaining worm from a herald of it was the herald of the star spawn. Star spawn mage.
So good. Like the moment that you said worm, I was like, goodbye. I'm sorry, did you say Spelljammer confirmed?
Yeah.
Bye.
The other thing I did was to Orkira didn't know. She was interrogated and she found out, I think it was 3 or 4 episodes till she figured out. I kept on telling her like they severed your connection to the weave and she couldn't cast spells. She couldn't do all these things, and she's freaking out a little bit. And then someone finally cast Detect Magic at the wrong time because this other aura spell that cloaks your aura had finally run out. She found out she used a simulacrum.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, I
and she
remember
was
that
actually
episode.
dead.
Yeah, I
boy.
remember that episode.
Yeah, it was dark stuff. It was.
That
I
was
mean, that stuff
wild.
is touchy though, because then you're really dealing with player agency. If
Oh,
someone's
yeah.
say dead, you need to give them the option to rectify that situation.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're,
yeah.
I mean, it's Dungeons and Dragons. Your character is only as dead as the player wishes.
Yeah, you
That
might
is
as well be in a
true.
Marvel comic.
It's
Yeah.
like your player is dead for the price of an engagement ring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah. I mean,
It's like there's a sale at K's down the
Yeah.
street. Like we could
Yeah.
just.
yeah, that is a good point, actually. Like, speaking of
Well, I also
horror
like you
and-
just saying engagement ring because it's
Yeah,
engaging and like, it works on. It's got layers.
Yeah.
Funny.
But dealing with death, because death isn't really a real consequence in D&D, maybe death isn't the scariest option
yes.
for
Yeah.
dungeon masters. So building in those options that are scarier. Something that happened in my we were playing in a Rise of Tiamat campaign. We had people who died and then they were resurrected, and we used some optional rules about what happens to you when you die, like what's a
Mhm.
consequence.
Mm.
So like one of our players, she actually spent 100 years dead in hell before she came back. So for us it was only a couple minutes.
Yeah.
But like dealing with that story and that trauma totally changed her character, and like so she was living in this whole other horrible place that really added this element to the game. So yeah, she didn't die, she got brought back, but like adding consequences to your game like that can really ramp up the horror
It's like when they
factor.
brought Buffy back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
season
for
5.
sure. I the only Buffy episode that I remember, which is Once More with Feeling, is the only one I've ever watched.
Yep.
Where she admits
So
that
now
she was
I
in
know what you're
heaven.
talking about.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
all I need to know. There was
Yeah.
singing. I
There you
like
go.
it.
There you go.
Oh, that
I
was one of my
played
favorite villains too. Oh,
such a
that
good
demon.
villain. Sweet Tooth. Yeah. So
yeah.
good. I played a character whose name I don't remember because I played her once for a one shot. But she was blessed by Suna to not age. And she has basically like, unless she's killed, that's the only way she can really die. But she's been resurrected so many times and drinking so many healing potions that her organs cannot handle it.
Oh no.
Like
Ooh.
she's a level 20 bard, but like her organs cannot deal with her being resurrected over and over and over. Because you're just like, you're starting a heart.
Right.
Yeah. You're patching a hole in a tire. That tire's getting real old.
That iPhone is built to die.
Like, how many times can you replace the parts of a ship before it's no longer that ship?
Right.
Yeah, I like that. I actually like that in Game of Thrones, that priest who kept on bringing back his friend, and his friend had like less parts.
Yeah,
right? Like,
for sure.
Yeah, he was missing an eye, he had horrible scarring, and like having that kind of residual cost. I did an interrogation once that was awful in a game. Obviously a private game, but an NPC had killed a member of our party. And so I decided to get information out of them, and I did so by laying out a series of diamonds. And I told them, like, we're going to talk for a little bit, maybe a little bit longer than you want to. And at the end of it, you're going to tell me exactly where my friend is.
Oof.
And they're like, I'm not going to do it. I'm like, okay. And I shot them in the head with like guiding bolt.
Oh boy.
And then I brought them back. And then I did it again and again and again until they didn't want to come back anymore.
Oh.
Because making an NPC not want to come back.
Yeah.
Because I figured they were in the bad place anyways. And for them to like, the idea that they were like, kept on going to Avernus and were like, you know what, Avernus is okay. Yeah. That's horrible.
I had a player with that exact same mentality, who did guiding bolt and try to get information out of an NPC who was under Gesh. So the Gesh would kill them before the player would.
Oh yeah, that's good.
And they only brought them back twice before they got very upset with the way that the interrogation was going.
Yeah.
But I had already told that player that I didn't accept anything that was like, I prefer not to have anything that like starts to resemble torture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, like, you know, whatever in anybody else's game, but for me personally, it's like don't really want to role play that. I might have been in a better mood some other time, or a different mood rather.
Right.
But I was already telling them, I was like, you know, it's probably not going to go the way you think. And because they had no interest in like doing any social roles or anything, I mean, if they'd done any social roles, they probably would have guessed that this person was under Gesh. All the signs, but like it takes a lot of the fervor out to be like, this isn't getting me anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would never do like breaking of fingers and stuff like that. Like
yeah,
this was
oh
more
my
like
gosh, they
metaphysical.
were all up
like
in that. Yeah,
you go to hell, you come back. You go to hell, you
Yeah,
come back,
yeah.
and you're like, no, you know what? I'm out.
they were not that considerate of the role play process. So I was like, well, this NPC's got a Gesh now.
We got a question from chat. Do you let players play out their experience trauma? I love it. I love it when players do something suboptimal, and I love it. Like if you decide I'm that character who runs away, that's amazing to me. That makes that scenario so scary, and then you have to have that conversation with all those characters later. Like if someone was like the person who closes the door on you when the zombies are coming, if that's a good character moment, I think that's fascinating. And it's a good element of horror.
I let my players experience trauma, but it is trauma that they dictate themselves.
Exactly.
I don't dictate the trauma that their character experiences. And especially if it's like a dice roll that's going to dictate it, I'm like, look, you can like, what happens? What do you think happens? Because this is clearly a negative outcome. But whenever it comes to like, and I take the word like trauma like very seriously. Like, is my player going to lose sleep over this tonight? Like, are they going to text me in tears later? Like, you know, as opposed to like physical trauma where it's like, do I let them lose an arm in combat? Sure, if they want to.
Yeah. That's something that came up. I recently got to run a Call of Cthulhu campaign. And you know that it's constantly dealing with like horrific themes and themes of madness. And I would always, you know, when something happened, when a roll went poorly, I would turn the camera around and be like, tell me what happens to your character. How do they deal with this? Okay, temporary madness. What does that mean to you? What does it look like for the character? Because it always puts the agency back in their pocket. And when that happens too, actually exciting things can happen for character moments and character building, because they'll think through, you know, what would actually happen to my character in this situation. And it's usually an opportunity for immense growth.
Yeah, and that kind of like comes to the core of like certain spells in D&D, like dominate person or hold person, suggestion. They're pretty problematic in a lot of ways unless you put the agency back in the player's hands.
I only give genuine like bad guys, like this is a bad person. Spells like dominate person. It's very difficult for me to want to give them. And if it's a dominate person spell, I usually use it with somebody who's okay with it. I don't like to use dominate with person with somebody who has like, I don't like my character's agency taken away or anything. And if not them, it'll be on like an NPC or something. Like I have led a character's sister into the woods or something under dominate person.
If you're using it if I was ever to use it, I've always only done it in a very Ben Kenobi kind of way, not a like horror way. There's something so upsetting about it. It's like
very like
too real to life kind of creepiness.
You
know, manipulating people in that particular way. I do like the only time I could say that I've liked hold person in a film is literally like X-Men First Class when Magneto has the coin and kills the Nazi dude. Oh my god. That moment was interesting. So I could see a character breaking and doing something terrible like that when faced with like their ultimate villain.
I could see that, definitely. And it's like whenever I'm playing like The Witcher, I would almost always rather fight than convince people with like the Witcher magic. I'm just like, oh, I feel weird doing I'm like, oh, well, you're a bandit, so if you could go away, unless it's like I'm around somebody who's like, I don't want to be around fighting or something, then I'll use the fighting, or I'll use the magic. But it's like I always feel so weird being like go home or something
Yeah.
like that. It's like,
Well,
oh,
that's why I
that's
think,
weird.
yeah, some of the most terrifying creatures for me in D&D are things like mind flayers or,
Yeah.
beings
Gross.
who mess with your brain. I don't
Yeah.
know, brains have always been the scariest thing for me.
Mhm.
Like I just in Venture Maidens we went through like an asylum dungeon. It was basically an old abandoned theme, and I had like a ghoul lord there who was like a surgeon. That kind of stuff is so scary.
Yeah.
But
Well, and
like,
that's like the whole
yeah.
thing with Alien is that like the whole metaphor for Alien is like that loss of autonomy and, that essentially being assaulted and like
Mhm.
that like invasion that
Yeah.
ugh,
Yeah, and for themes like that, you absolutely must talk to your players
for sure.
beforehand. And if you're gonna do that kind of game, everybody has to be on board for that kind of
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Because when you are on board and you're prepared for it, that can be so fun to explore those, those dark themes on people's own terms. But again, consent is so important for everything, but especially if you are doing horror themed
And you
games.
checking in on the regular as well,
Oh
because like
yeah.
you don't know, like you as a DM may like creatively just come up with something
Yeah,
and
so
not
stumble on
this may not
something. Yeah.
fall into something you maybe talked about, or maybe that person didn't even know that this kind of thing bothers
Oh
them.
yeah, for
Oh
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like a big fan of like the end card and like the red, yellow, green system and of enthusiastic consent.
Oh yeah.
Like, do you an O with a question mark, do you consent to what is happening? Yes, I consent.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah. And yeah, check-ins, like Lauren mentioned in chat, are always great. If you are doing a horror
For
themed
sure.
campaign, especially something like Call of Cthulhu, or like every session at the end, just have a brief, few minutes, be like, how do we all feel? Anything cross the line? Like what's up, just check in. It's totally worth it. And most of the time it'll just be great feedback that you'll love. But it is
Yeah.
important to give the space just to check in.
I
No, that-
actually oh, sorry, go
Okay, no,
ahead.
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry,
Go
Todd.
ahead.
I actually super love on DM's Guild how like common it's becoming to grab an adventure or an anthology where the adventures have content warnings at the
Yeah.
beginning.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because then if you're running them for a con or something like that, you can tell everybody, like I told people for the block party this weekend, I let them know what the themes of the adventure I'd be running just
Yeah.
ahead of time, to just be like, these are the themes that this adventure plays with. We don't have time really for a session 0, but the type of adventure that we're in, and if that's not okay with you, then I can change it.
Yeah.
I wrote it, who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great. I think the Uncaged anthology was the first time I saw that actually like
Yeah,
being
yeah.
used, and I was like, this is amazing.
Great idea.
Just the safety tools that are becoming so
It's
much
nice to
more
know.
common.
Yeah, yeah. It's nice to know what you're getting into.
Yeah. Oh. And also, yeah, preparing your heart, to like go to these places or to think about how your character
Yeah.
might react to that.
Get in the headspace.
Yeah, because some people like to know beforehand to really get into the character and get into the atmosphere. It's like when you're about to walk on stage to perform a play, you know what it's about. So you can get yourself in that
Yeah, yeah.
headspace, so it's awesome to be able to do that as well for the game you're about to play.
How about comedy? Like I feel like comedy is kind of built into D&D. Like people are gonna laugh, hopefully.
Yeah.
They're gonna like have
Yeah.
a moment, but they're like the one thing that's funniest to me in the thing is there's only one joke, and it's a head that has spider legs, and
I love how with
They-
spider legs. It's the best.
the camera shot is perfectly set up. You see this head just wriggling away in the background, and they all look at it, and they're like, "Are you effing kidding me?"
What?
Like it just hit that point in the film, like that's
Sure.
when you had to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. My favorite, the headhunter from Ravenloft, is a creature very much like that. It's a spider-like creature that nestles in a corpse's head, and when they find another decapitated body, they'll shift their legs down inside of the body and
no,
use their
no.
legs to puppet the rest of the body. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, to
No,
puppet
it's
the
good
rest of the
stuff. It's
body.
good stuff,
And
yeah.
and yeah, it's called a headhunter. It's in Ravenloft. One of my favorite monsters from Ravenloft. It's just a delight.
Yeah. I mean, I think to tell an effective horror story, you have to have those moments of levity. You have
Yeah,
to
you have
have
to.
those jokes, and you have to have the shining good moments, because
Yeah.
if you don't have those, the bad moments mean nothing. because you need something, the opposition, to constantly compare it to. One of my favorite things, I had an English professor who said that the best like tragedies are the ones that could be comedies until they aren't.
Right.
And then it's like,
Yeah.
so the whole way through it could be a
Berserk.
happy ending, and then
Yeah. I would add on further that the best tragedies are the ones where you get to the end of the story and then you rewatch it hoping that it turns out different.
Yeah.
Berserk.
Oh my god.
It kills me every time.
I can't believe it's been an hour. This has been awesome.
I can't either.
I
so
love
excited.
talking about
Yeah.
horror stuff. The other thing that I do like doing sometimes is it's almost like anti-horror. It's just societal horror where like there's a plane called Bitopia where it's two planes looking basically on top of each other if you look in the DM's Guild. And if you're there too long, you could become neutral good. And if you're there a little bit longer, you become lawful good. And I established a brainwashing camp there. And so you are in this very like everyone's got cult robes on, everyone's happy, and the players start becoming neutral good and lawful good. And there's regular monsters that might like, beholders that might be evil, but now they're good. And like, what is the nature of evil now? If you're now like just brainwashing people with an entire plane of existence into becoming good, and that stuff scares the crap out of me. It's kind of like The Mist. It seemed like The Mist, the fact that like people, this global planar event is happening and the people actually decide to make religion out of it and start hunting everyone in the grocery store. I'm like, I can't handle those scenes.
Yeah, for
very
sure.
triggering and upsetting.
Yeah, for sure. It's like that sort of mob mentality where we split, and we don't even split off for any good reason. We just split off because we need for there to be an adversary that we can control.
Right.
We need to be the heroes in whatever way that we can, and we cannot do that without defeating a villain. And we cannot defeat the villains outside. So we must create and defeat villains inside.
Yes, which is something I think we are always plagued by.
Also, if anybody in the chat is wondering how you can add levity to horror games, put in an NPC with a silly name that your players can easily make fun of.
Boom.
Like baby hands.
Silly accent. They love it.
They will eat that up. Strawed baby hands. Yeah. In fact, you know what? If you're in Ravenloft, put in a hayseed, essentially a little country bumpkin who believes they're strawed.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Or like a silly little,
where like he just thinks he's like I was bitten.
or like not even like in a ridiculous way. Like put a little side cult of teenagers who are like worshiping Strahd in a garden shed or something. Like something so ridiculous. Have them stumble on a bunch of little goth boys that are playing their own version of Ravenloft where they're all trying to romance Strahd. Who cares? Find something so funny, so ridiculous, so blown out of proportion. Let your characters just tear it apart and have a great time, and then ruin their lives tomorrow.
Yeah, I had a shadow sorcerer who was just edgelord McGee. Like he just he was like from the IT crowd basically. I forget his name.
What a delight.
He was just like, there's a foul wind on the horizon. Like he loved being in Ravenloft.
I love it.
Yes, precious.
100%. Nicholas Strahd.
Nicholas Strahd. We are out of time. That went by very quickly. We should definitely do a part 2 sometime. I love talking horror and hearing all our terrible, because we're not very good as hosts. We're just talking about
we're going to use
in our games.
I don't know what you're talking about. Later. Sorry.
Yeah.
Judge Drod.
Judge Drod. Oh.
God. So good.
He decides to be a paladin.
Oh my god, yes. He's a champion of Strahd, but he's like 16 years old. He's got little knobby knees. He's like, I will duel anyone who challenges Strahd's honor.
He's got like a metal salad bowl on his head.
Yes. Oh my gosh, please.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone. This was ToddTalks. That was our talk about horror, and we ended with Strahd, Judge Strahd. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you later. Bye.